Hi again, Walter Rauschenbusch. We're now on page 276 of Christianity and the Social Crisis. Rauschenbusch has been lamenting the dire economic situation of 1907, where he said the economic situation everywhere saps family life, and has made the point that it even makes it necessary for the best of our society, the most able, that is, of our society, to want not to reproduce themselves. So it encourages sterility while it discourages family. He goes on about the progress of women, so framed in 1907. Our optimists treat it as a sign of progress that so many professions are now open to women. But it is not choice, but grim necessity that drives woman into new ways of getting ahead, or getting bread and clothing. The great majority of girls heartily prefer the independence and the satisfaction of the heart which are offered to a woman only in a comfortable and happy home. Some educated girls think they prefer the practice of a profession because the dream of unusual success lures them, but when they have had a taste of the wearing routine that prevails in most professions, they turn with longing to the thought of a home of their own. Our industrial machine has absorbed the functions which women formerly fulfilled in the home and has drawn them into this hopper because female labor is unorganized and cheap. They are made to compete with the very men who ought to marry them, and thus they further diminish their own chance of marriage. If anyone has a sound reason for taking the competitive system by the throat, in righteous wrath it is the unmarried woman and the mother with girls. Girls go to work at the very age when their developing body ought to be shielded from physical and mental strain. Many are kept standing for long hours at a time. During rush seasons they are pushed to exhaustion. In few cases can they permit themselves that periodical easement which is essential to the continued health of most women. Many of them enter marriage with organic troubles that develop their full import only in later years. Girls pass from school to shop or store and never learn housekeeping well. If they marry, they assume charge of a manufacturing establishment in which all the varied functions are performed by one woman. If they have to learn the work at an age when the body no longer requires new habits readily. If the burden of maternity is added at the same time, the strain is immense and is likely to affect the temper and the happiness of the home. It is thus our civilization prepares its women for the all-important function of motherhood, for on the woman of the working class rests the function of bearing and rearing the future citizens of the Republic. Individually, Americans are more tender of women than any other nation. Collectively, we treat them with cruelty and folly. A large proportion of working women are not paid wages sufficient to support themselves in comfort and to dress as the requirements of their position and the modern taste demand. In that case, they must either suffer want or supplement their earnings. They are fortunate if fathers and brothers support the home. In that case, they are able to underbid those who are dependent on their own labor alone. If the home does not thus shield them, what are they to do? There are numbers of unmarried and married men about them. Let's say that again. There are numbers of unmarried and married men about them looking for transient love. The girls themselves have the womanly desire for the company and love of men. Satisfaction by marriage may not be in sight. They crave the clothing, the trinkets, the pleasures that glitter about them. It is so easy to get a share. When I reflect on the unstained virtue and nobility of the great majority of working girls whom I have known, I feel the deepest respect for them. But some are always on the edge of danger. As the crocodile takes toll of the Hindu women at the river ford, so every now and then one of the girls throws up her hands and goes under. Those who are strong by personal vigor or by religious training can escape, and blessed is he who strengthens their hands. But that does not satisfy the situation. If a ship were wrecked and the passengers clinging to the tilted deck, the strongest would hold on best. If someone cheered their failing strength and showed them how best to cling, it would be a great service. But if the deck kept on tilting at a steeper angle, more still would go. There are employers in European cities who expect as a matter of course that their female clerks will give them more than the working capacity of their bodies. There are stores in New York and elsewhere where some girls get the easy positions and some are made uncomfortable for reasons well understood. That sort of oppression will be successful in the measure in which the girls fear to lose their positions. Woe to the weak! They are like birds fluttering in the hot hand of the pursuer. The most serious danger is not the increase of professional prostitutes, but the frequency with which women supplement their wages and secure their pleasures by occasional immorality. Prostitutes are ostracized by their class. It is worse if girls are tainted, but retain their standing and spread the contagion. The freedom of movement in American life and the growing knowledge of preventives makes sin easy and safe. To anyone who realizes the value of womanly purity, it is appalling to think that the standard of purity for their whole sex may drop and approximate the standard prevailing among men. The health of society rests on the welfare of the home. What then will be the outcome if the unmarried multiply, if homes remain childless, if families are homeless, if girls do not know housework, and if men come to distrust the purity of women? We can only say to this, 1907, those were the days when the purity of women was taken for granted, and the desirability of family. Rauschenbusch is already seeing the future coming, though. It's undeniable. Next time he deals with the fall or rise of Christian civilization. I'll put a link into early Christian views of how Christ elevated women.